Yang kami faham pakai mask.
Jarak mesti at least 1 meter.
Wash hand frequently. Tak mestilah pakai facial mask.
Penjarakan sosial.
First of all, macam kita masuk mall kan, sini-sini kedai mesti scan. Sentiasalah jaga doktor.
Kita jaga kita.
Kita jaga kita.
Kita jaga kita.
Kita jaga kita.
Hello there, you're now with me, Hendigui, and this is TVS Nightline. Without further ado, let's dive into today's topics. Now, Sarawak today has achieved another milestone in regaining its oil and gas O&G rights. The liquefied petroleum gas LPG distributors in the state now no longer need to apply license from Putrajaya. Chief Minister Dato' Patinggi Abang Johari Tun Openg said these will reduce bureaucracy in gas distribution and regulation activities in the state. He said the exemption, which came into effect on June 1st, was also a recognition of the state's corporate organization's capabilities in regulating the gas industry.
Kedua-kedua perkara ini akan membolehkan Sarawak mengambil peranan yang lebih aktif dalam industri petroleum seperti mana eksplorasi kerajaan negeri selama ini demi kemajuan Sarawak dan kesejahteraan rakyat.
He said this during the handover of the LPG regulatory exemption letter at Wisma Bapa Malaysia, Kuching today. On May 31st, the federal government had agreed to grant exemption to LPG distributors in Sarawak starting June 1st. LPG wholesalers and retailers in Sarawak now only needed the distribution of gas ordinance DGO license from the Sarawak Utilities Ministry for the distribution of LPG. They no longer required permission under the Petroleum Development Act 1974 PDA and the Supply Control Act 1961 CSA from the Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs Ministry.
Alhamdulillah, SCDC Energy pula merupakan satu lagi entiti yang akan menjadi pemain yang penting untuk memperkasakan industri gas dan petrokemikal di negeri ini, yang juga mencerminkan peningkatan ease of doing business. Dengan peningkatan ease of doing business yang terzahir daripada perkecualian pemakaian PDA, saya juga berharap Kementerian Utiliti di bawah Yang Berhormat Datuk Seri Stephen Rundi akan terus mengorak langkah ke arah mewujudkan ekosistem industri utiliti yang berdaya saing dan mampu menarik pelaburan.
Now, Sarawak will be more involved in governing its own natural resources, especially the oil and gas industry. As such, the state could carry out regulatory exercises on liquefied petroleum gas LPG on its own, following a mutual understanding forged among all parties involved.
Dan pada masa yang sama, dapat meningkatkan ease of doing business. Pastinya akan memberi impak ekonomi yang positif dalam bentuk pelaburan setempat serta meningkatkan kelancaran aktiviti perdagangan domestik di Sarawak.
Malaysia Day celebration in Sarawak will be celebrated in hybrid this year in view of the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. It is an important celebration not just for Sarawakian but Malaysia as a whole to remind the people the historic date and event that occurred during September 16, 1963. The event will be attended by Sarawak Head of State Tun Pehin Sri Abdul Taib Mahmud and wife Toh Puan Datuk Patinggi Ragat Krudi Taib, Sarawak Chief Ministers and members of the State Cabinet.
Pada kali ini, sambutan Hari Malaysia pun diadakan secara hybrid, memandangkan kita masih lagi dilanda pandemik COVID-19. Oleh itu, tetamu jemputan kita pun dihadkan kepada 100 orang sahaja.
He said the celebration's theme of Malaysia Prihatin or Malaysia Cares reflects the caring spirit of Malaysians in the fight against COVID-19. Those at home can watch the celebration, which will be broadcasted live on TVS, UKA's Facebook page and RTM Radio. In Bau, promising numbers were seen with a total of 1,966 teenagers expected to complete their 2-dose COVID-19 vaccine in October. The first dose for teen aged 12 to 17 were complete in 4 days.
Mengikut rekod KKM, melalui proses vaksinasi di PPB yang lepas, saya percaya mereka boleh buat dengan cepat. One day they can do 1,000. This is only actually you can do it 3 days. Tetapi disebabkan logistiknya tidak sama, kita menggunakan sekolah-sekolah, so it will take time lah.
District Officer Anila Siam said most of the recipients couldn't attend the vaccination appointment due to logistic and some of them are still undergoing quarantine. She said their names will be listed to be handed to the District Health Office and Ministry of Health on rescheduling their dates for vaccination.
Jika ada juga yang mempunyai alasan tersendiri yang kita rasa kita perlu datang dan memberi nasihat, kami akan gunakan saluran yang kita ada sekarang inilah. Satunya kita akan menggunakan saluran KMKK dahulu.
For the record, a total of 2,932 teens had registered for vaccine in Bau District. At the same time, Health Officer Dr. Gerald Laimeng said they are currently administering the vaccines at 4 schools.
Tidak terhad kepada sekolah saja. Sasaran kita adalah untuk memberi vaksin kepada semua remaja yang layak. Okey, so dengan ini antara lokasi-lokasi sekiranya mereka tidak dapat datang pada hari ini ke sekolah, kita akan mendapat nama daripada pihak sekolah untuk arrange, untuk mengurus semula supaya kita dapat buat di setiap ada di klinik kesihatan ataupun sekiranya kita akan kembali ke sekolah untuk menolong mereka jika mereka dapat hadir pada hari tersebut.
Now over to Muka District, students there welcomed the immunization program with open arms. Most of them expressed their excitement of heading back to school next October. They hope that with the vaccine, there will be an opportunity for them to have a face-to-face interactions in classrooms.
Perasaan masa nak ambil vaksin tu dia ada nervous sikit lah. Macam gigil-gigil macam tu, takut jugalah. Lepas tu masa dah cocok tu ada rasa sakit. So harapan saya untuk bila dah cocok vaksin ni boleh mengurangkan orang yang kena positif.
Berasa lega bila sudah vaksin. Jadi kepada kawan-kawan yang belum mengambil vaksin, sila ambil.
For their parents, with this vaccine, they hope that their children can be back to school safely.
Dengan harapan supaya sekolah ataupun penggal sekolah dibuka semula. Okay? Supaya pembelajaran mereka tidaklah tertinggal dan PDPR bagi saya tidak mengambil kesan yang banyaklah.
Saya berharap agar seluruh rakyat Malaysia peringkat kanak-kanak remaja sama-sama berganding bahu untuk mengambil vaksin agar kita boleh pergi ke sekolah macam biasa dan tiada lagi PDPR online dan hidup kita akan seperti sebelum ni.
Meanwhile, for the Muka District PPV coordinator, there are also a few teenagers refused to get the vaccine.
Okay, untuk data yang kita terima untuk daerah Muka, cuma tidak sampai 10 orang lah yang tidak bersetuju ataupun enggan menerima vaksin. So kita memohon kepada yang anti-vax ataupun yang enggan menerima vaksin ni untuk tampil kepada pihak kita walaupun tak
sempat datang hari ini dan esok boleh datang untuk walk-in untuk bersama-sama kita merealisasikan program PIK remaja pada kali ini.
Nasihat kepada semua pelajar ini supaya actually our seruan is mohon ibu bapa supaya datang untuk mendapatkan vaksin. Jangan takutlah untuk mendapatkan vaksin.
A 69-year-old man was crushed to death by his own vehicle in a freak incident while attempting to change the tires of his vehicle. According to Marudi Police Chief DSP Muhammad Ruslan Matkib, the incident occurred in a private oil palm plantation at Jalan Rumah Panjang, Kampung Melikat in Marudi on Wednesday.
Seorang lelaki yang dikenali dengan nama James Charles yang berumur 69 tahun telah dihempak kenderaan beliau sendiri jenis Toyota Hilux double cab. Ini adalah berpunca daripada saya Hilux mangsa setelah pancit dan mangsa telah berusaha untuk mengganti dengan tayar yang baru. Apabila di-jack tayar kereta ke atas, semasa mangsa berada di bawah kereta, tiba-tiba jack itu telah terjatuh dan telah menghempak mangsa. Dan mangsa telah meninggal dunia di tempat kejadian.
After receiving an emergency call from the public, Marudi Fire and Rescue Department rushed to the location to extricate the victim pinned under the vehicle. The body was sent to Marudi Hospital for further action. The Malaysian Maritime Enforcement Agency has detained a Vietnamese fishing boat for encroachment and fishing in the waters of Sarawak. The boat was detained 167 nautical miles northeast of Tanjung Po, Kuching at around 7:40 a.m. on Wednesday. Sarawak State Maritime Director First Admiral Zin Azman Yunus said 7 Vietnamese fishermen aged between 19 to 45 years old were detained during the special operation conducted. The boat, suspected to be a foreign fishing vessel based on the physical structure and the registration number of the boat. Zin Azman said the boat tried to escape when approached by the authorities but was successfully intercepted.
Pemeriksaan dan geledah mendapati bot tersebut tidak memiliki sebarang dokumen serta kebenaran daripada Ketua Pengarah Perikanan Malaysia untuk melakukan aktiviti menangkap ikan di perairan negara. Seramai 7 orang kru termasuk tekong berumur dalam lingkungan 19 hingga 45 tahun telah ditahan kerana tidak memiliki sebarang dokumen pengenalan diri yang sah.
The boat and crew members were escorted to the Komtas Vessel Detention Centre for further investigation. He also said MMEA also seized 1.3 tons of mixed catches, fishing equipment, and about 1,300 litres of diesel worth 600,000. The case will be investigated under the Fisheries Act 1985 as well as the Immigration Act 1959/63. All crews also underwent COVID-19 screening as a precautionary measure upon arrival at the jetty. Meanwhile, members of the public are urged to contact the State Maritime Operations Centre regarding any suspicious activities at the sea. Now, police arrested 2 Indonesians for alleged drug trafficking during a raid at an unnumbered house in Kampung Wawasan Batu 32, Jalan Bintulu Miri on Wednesday. Bintulu Police Chief Superintendent Zulkifli Suhaili said during the drug bust, police found 7,200 ringgit worth of illicit drugs.
Pemeriksaan lanjut dibuat di rumah tersebut. Kita telah menjumpai 7 straw deshaki dadah jenis mat dan 17 bungkusan kita telah jumpai di dalam beg sandang. Jumlah kasa barang rampasan deshaki dadah lebih kurang 72 gram dengan nilai lingkungan ringgit Malaysia 7,200.
Both suspects were tested positive for drugs. Zulkifli said further investigation are still underway and the drugs were meant for local market.
Kita masih dalam siasatan dan kita percaya barang rampasan ini, dadah ini dipercayai ada di kawasan sekitar persimpangan Bakun dan juga penagih-penagih di kawasan tersebutlah.
The duo have been remanded for 14 days to facilitate investigation under Section 39B of the Dangerous Drugs Act 1952. The Australian Federal Police AFP was instrumental in the arrest of one of the world's most wanted pedophiles from Lundu. However, many have questioned the role of local authorities in the arrest. Sarawak Commissioner of Police Dato' Aidi Ismail made a public statement today in regards to the dispute. Aidi reiterated that the case of Aladdin Lanim, the pedophile from Lundu, is not the only pedophile case detected in Sarawak. Since implementing the Sexual Offences Against Children 2017 Act Act 792 on July 10, 2017, a total of 260 cases of sexual offences against children have been investigated by the D11 Division of the Criminal Investigation Department. 76% of the total cases have been successfully prosecuted in court, where over 3/4 of the perpetrators have already been sentenced to prison. Regarding Aladdin Lanim's arrest, it was a collective effort with information provided by the AFP and Bukit Aman Crime Investigation Department or CID. Sarawak CID then carried out a thorough investigation and found that the suspect was working as a field conductor in an oil palm plantation in Biawak, Lundu. He added a liaison between the local authorities and Australian authorities was necessary as they have more experts with vast knowledge regarding the dark web, which is where the suspect posted his illicit crimes. Aladdin had 18 charges against him at the Kuching court, where the suspect could be sentenced to 48 years and 6 months of imprisonment and 15 whips. The accused is currently undergoing his prison sentence, and amended charges will be proposed to the Deputy Public Prosecutor in the near future.
They actually first arrived here.
The British bawa orang India for this purpose lah.
Saksikan Travelog Round dengan kami setiap Sabtu jam 5.15 petang hanya di TVS, saluran 122 Astro dan My TV.
Okay, what's the problem? I always go back at 10. I cannot do this anymore.
I'm traumatized from all this sexual harassment at work. I can't even sleep.
I was asked to lead this team, but why they don't trust me? Let's discuss. Join me at H Capital with Balkis every Thursday 9 p.m. at TVS channel 122, Astro and My TV.
Now on to the COVID-19 development in Sarawak. Sarawak once more tops the list of COVID-19 contributors among states in Malaysia, with 3,118 cases and 9 fatalities reported today. 2 new clusters were detected today, bringing the state's cumulative total to 144,030 infections.
Although a high number of infections were reported today, only 4 cases or 0.13% of total cases were of category 3, 4 and 5. This proves that the immense immunization program in Sarawak is a success as the state prepares to enter the endemic phase. 2 new clusters were detected in Sarawak today, with both clusters being formed in Bintulu, namely the Sungai Segan cluster and the Jalan Bintulu Miri Dua cluster, with 47 infections and 125 infections reported respectively. Both clusters were reported to be of community clusters, and longhouses in the area are placed under lockdown. Infected patients from both clusters are currently being treated at Bintulu Hospital and COVID-19 Low-Risk Treatment and Quarantine Centres (BKRC). Malaysia today recorded 19,307 cases today, bringing the cumulative total to 1,919,774 cases. Selangor came in second with 2,700 cases reported today, and Sabah in third with 2,298 cases.
Since last year, the nation has been grappling to achieve a balance between the people's safety and ensuring that the economy remains resilient. Therefore, Malaysia's halal industry plays a key role in the National Recovery Plan. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob said the industry's recovery is paramount to the resilience of the overall Muslim-majority national economy.
Commenting further, Ismail Sabri said Malaysia also aims to be the leading centre of excellence for the professional sectors in halal training at the global level. He said this in a keynote address read by the International Trade and Industry Minister, Datuk Seri Muhammad Azmin Ali, during the virtually held World Halal Business Conference 2021 today.
Malaysia is gradually picking ourselves up and recovering from this pandemic that has adversely impacted our society at large. We are committing ourselves to implementing the National Recovery Plan under the spirit of Keluarga Malaysia. The spirit of Keluarga Malaysia represents togetherness, inclusivity, comprehensiveness, and dynamism.
And venturing into new sources of economic growth in the halal industry as it serves as a catalyst for recovery in the post-pandemic global economy.
Halal industry players are also encouraged to enhance trade ties amongst Muslim trading nations through multilateral and bilateral meetings, trade missions, and free trade agreements so as to meet the demand of global Muslim and non-Muslim consumers. All gathered demonstrate the firm commitment and belief of all stakeholders that the halal economy must remain resilient and that it will become a strong contributor to the global economic recovery.
As the nation grapple with the worst global pandemic in a century, it's hard to think about preparing for the next one. Although the COVID-19 pandemic has been a human and healthcare disaster, ignoring this, it could be worse. Infectious disease outbreaks have emerged with alarming regularity over the past decades. Therefore, investments in preventive measures are vital, such as healthcare in creating a defense against future pandemics. Finance Minister Tengku Dato' Sri Zafrul Aziz said several policy measures are being studied, including putting in place an always-on system and partnerships that can be rapidly scaled during pandemics.
Strengthening national and local mechanisms to detect infectious disease, to stop transmission at early stage, ensuring health system readiness to handle surges while maintaining essential services, and developing an integrated epidemic prevention agenda. Such reforms will ensure the protection of lives and livelihoods while keeping the economy open for business.
Commenting further, he said, achieving a target level of population immunity is a key enabler in Malaysia's path to recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic. Therefore, the government will not compromise on the need to put public health as a priority throughout NRP and the 2020 budget. In addition, the government will implement 5 new measures to strengthen the public health system.
Firstly, we are in the process of establishing a dedicated call center to offer immediate assistance in managing COVID-19 causes. Secondly, whole genome sequencing is being undertaken by the Institute of Medical Research to detect the presence and spread of new variants in Malaysia. Thirdly, studying a much better way of deploying the FIND, test, trace, isolate, and support, or FTTIS, on an end-to-end basis.
The fourth step consists of the government looking into the most effective method to manage COVID-19 through the monitoring of individuals with continuous symptoms for an extended period after infections. Lastly, the government will implement more vaccination programs as a public health care protocol.
A pre-budget statement and 4 public consultation papers or PCPs will be issued by the Finance Ministry in an effort to improve transparency in the preparation process for Budget 2022. He said that the proposal papers would touch on government service policy, tax incentives and the Bumiputra procurement policy.
2022 is conceptualized as a recovery budget to complement the government's wider and longer-term efforts in terms of reform under the 12th Malaysia Plan. Theme around recovery, resilience and reform, we have issued a pre-budget statement and 4 public consultation papers, a first in our history. In this respect, I look forward to hearing your thoughts and suggestions as we craft what may be the most important budget in the history of our nation.
Tengku Zafrul added, the public consultation paper also contains proposals for the enactment of the Fiscal Responsibility Act and the improvement of the cash assistance program for the people. The initiative was placed under the responsibility of the Ministry of International Trade and Industry through the National Investment Aspirations NIA agenda to attract more investors to Malaysia. Now, a businessman initially charged with causing grievous hurt to a security guard now faces an amended charge of murder following the victim's death last month. State Deputy Public Prosecutor Director Azalina Rashdi requested for this charge not amounting to acquittal DNAA for the initial charge under Section 335 of the Penal Code for causing grievous hurt on grave and sudden provocation.
The video of the incident had since gone viral on social media after the security guard's family was dissatisfied with the post-mortem report and claimed the victim had died from injuries sustained in the assault. The charge was amended after the case has been reclassified as murder of the security guard who was attacked while on duty at the swimming pool of the condominium in December last year. However, no plea was recorded from Ahmad Nur Azhar Muhammad, aged 33, after the amended charge was read out to him before Magistrate Nur Azrin Liana Muhammad Darus. According to the charge, Ahmad Nur Azhar was charged with murdering as Tava Sagayam, aged 64, on the 7th floor of Menara Majestic, Jalan CM Yusof, between 8 a.m. and 9:30 a.m. on December 29 last year. If convicted, the charge is punishable by death under Section 302 of the Penal Code.
Local producers are questioning the SOP allowed by the government to have certain blind spots that needs to be rectified.
我们比较大的问题就是说，这些拍摄的地点呢，如果是户外的话，是不是都开放让我们拍摄？如果 production 是被允许，可是我的 production content 是关于国家公园的一些 content，那么国家公园会不会允许我们进去里面拍摄呢？因为它还是 follow MCO 的 SOP 嘛。
Although the industry are allowed to carry out filming activities, a special filming certificate or SPP is required. The SPP is also subject to approval, which requires that all production personnel undergo COVID-19 screening tests 3 days prior to filming. The results then are to be submitted to FINAS. In addition, they are also required to conduct studio filming activities without an audience. The addition of COVID-19 screening tests means the production cost will also be increased.
可是，在沙捞越如果是要拍摄的话，它是有 SOP 的，就是说，就是员工就必须要戴口罩啦，有社交距离啦，然后你的 crew 还有你的 talent 是不可以超过一个限定的这个人数。一直到近期的那个 SOP 就是说，如果你要拍摄的话，你一定要有 FINAS 的SPP HAS。
In addition, Lau said that if shooting locations with business aren't allowed to operate as usual, this would also affect the production schedule and cost.
And that wraps up the Nightline for tonight. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Handy Grace. Stay safe and have a pleasant night.
Ramainya yang ingkar PKP, banyak kita rugi ni tahu. Kena bayar denda, rugi. Kes naik, rugi. Masa, tenaga, rugi. Kita rugi, semua rugi. Patuh arahan. Kalau duduk rumah, lagi bagus. Bantu petugas barisan hadapan kita, okey? Ingat, amal 3W. Wash, wear, warn dan elak 3S. Tempat sesak, tempat sempit, sembang dekat-dekat. Jangan leka, terus waspada. Ingat, sama-sama kita jaga kita.
Budayakan norma baru. Bersama-sama kita putuskan rantaian COVID-19.